2, 1.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Ashland Planning Board meeting of Thursday, November 13th. A reminder to everyone that the meeting is being broadcast and recorded. Starting off, I will call the meeting to order at 7:23, a few minutes late. And just a very short clerk's report, chair clerk's report this evening. Just acknowledging that we did receive 3 emails from since our meeting just 1 week ago. 2 of those were from the same person. And I just wanted to also just make a few more comments. Next Wednesday is town meeting. I think that starts at 7. At 7. So we will not have a planning board warrant article on there, but it's always a good time. If you don't come to town meeting, I would make a plug for it. That'll be next Wednesday. And also I talked to Paul, what's Paul's last name? Technical?
Carpenter?
Carpenter. Talked to Paul Carpenter today about emails. So I know you're having deep sounding problem with your email. Paul, you're still having problems with your email?
I got a conference call with them tomorrow.
Okay. And Angel, I assume you will be getting a new, an Ashland email address, so it's helpful in keeping your lives separate, you know? So there will be more about that. We're also going to look at just changing the general Ashland email. The one for the planning board is actually like ashland.planningboard@ blah, 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 where everyone else's is just selectboard@Ashland. So I don't know why we have this extra Ashland in ours, but we're going to be simplifying it because it's been driving me a little nuts. Okay, so those are like the very critical announcements there. A welcome to Angel, sitting on the board for the first time as our new associate member, so we appreciate you being here. And the first thing on it, well, I guess I will, because it's on the agenda, I will open it up to public comment, though I assume everyone in the room is here for a specific project and not a very general public comment, and I don't see many people online, so, okay. So if there is any public comment, you can come to the microphone or raise your hand online. And seeing none, we will move on to the next agenda item, which is the public hearings. The first one in there is the what would be a bylaw amendment for in-law apartments. We talked about this a little bit last time. But that amendment is going to be continued, but we do need to read it in. Yes. Is that right? Because it is a public hearing that was advertised for this date. Let me read it in and then I'll explain what's going on there. In-law apartments zoning bylaw amendment. In accordance with the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 5, the Ashland Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, November 13th, 2025 at 7:15 p.m. on proposed amendments to the Ashland zoning bylaws. The changes proposed are to add Section 7.8 in the Ashland bylaws, in-law apartments, and amend Section 3.0 use regulations, 3.1.g, table of use regulations, accessory uses. So this is the zoning amendment that was suggested by Doug Scott when we changed our bylaws in the spring to accommodate the new state ADU requirements. What we did is take out the section that was really about ADUs at the time, but that also accommodated in-law apartments. So immediately, actually at that time, Doug expressed a concern that his hands would be tied a little bit, that the possibility to have an in-law apartment, which is not a rentable ADU, would not be possible under the bylaws anymore. So this was something, was basically putting back in this opportunity for an in-law apartment as well as an ADU, that these are two separate things. So we were going to discuss that tonight and open it up for, as the public hearing, so that it would be on the town meeting warrant next week. But there was an error in the posting of it, so it cannot go to town meeting. I think the posting was that it needed to be, because it's a bylaw change, it needed to be sent to surrounding towns, and that didn't happen. I didn't even realize that was a thing, but that didn't happen. So the warrant is being pulled for the meeting this week, but we'll come back in the spring. So what we're going to do tonight is basically continue it. We're looking at continuing it until January. And then what we will probably do, and this is something I wanted to discuss with the board, what we'll probably do is take an opportunity, because we actually didn't have this opportunity before, to look at it as a board, read it, tweak it, see if there's anything in there that isn't clear that we want to change. So we didn't have that opportunity before because of the timing. Now we will have that opportunity to look at it as a board before reissuing as a warrant for Springtown meeting. So this just found out about this yesterday, right? Yeah, so we figured the easiest thing to do right now would be to continue it until we learn from town council about kind of the right way to handle it. And then we will figure that out in January, and we'll still have plenty of time to get it on for town meeting, because it's already written and basically ready to go. Does that make sense? Okay, so so what we would look to do is continue it to the first meeting in January, which would be January 8th. And then at that time, we'll have some answers about what our process will be. So we'll have that down by the time we get there. Any other questions on that? Does someone want to make a motion to continue to January 8th?
Can attempt. Motion to move in-law apartment zoning bylaws amendments to January 8th.
And is there a second?
A second?
All right, so, and we have a roll call vote, but, yeah, so it's just the three of us, so.
Deepa Venkatai.
Paul Montesino, aye.
And Tricia Kendall, aye. So and that is enough to continue it to January 8th. So we'll deal with that then. I sent her a text, and I was texting with her today, so I'm not sure what's going on. I apologize to our audience for this. For the next item on the agenda is 55 Tilton Avenue. We will have to just, we're gonna, I can just.
Table it.
Do I need to,
do I need to
go in order?
Because it's a public hearing, and it was posted for 7:15, we at least have to open it, read it in, and then table it.
I mean, because I could take care of Metro West, or do I need to do them in order? Don't know.
You don't have to do them in order, but we at least, you have to at least open it before you can table it.
Okay, well, why don't we do that, because I can at least read it in.
Right. I think that's fair.
It's short enough to read in. So, okay, so, yeah, I'm just not sure I should do that, actually.
I know, yeah. If you're
Okay, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna go to the next, for those watching at home, the next item on our agenda is 55 Tilton Avenue, and this is a project which I, the chair, need to recuse myself from that project. But we do not have our fourth member of the board here, which we need for a special permit application. She should be here soon, but until she gets here, we don't have 4 members of the board, and we need 4 members for a special permit. So I'm looking for other things to fill in the time until hopefully our 4th member arrives. So,
Point of order.
please.
There is I represent Mr.
Can you use the mic? I'm so sorry. You can't hear it if we're not on.
I represent 55 Tilton Avenue LLC. There is a slight error on the application. It is not a special permit that's required pursuant to your zoning table of uses, a mixed-use residential and commercial building in the ADDC zone, and it is, I've copied the thing into the app, is an allowed use with a Y. So we do not need a special permit
For the use.
for the building for the use, yes.
Right, but
Site
we,
plan review.
He's saying you could vote on it, but since you're accusing yourself. We still have to wait for Anna.
We still have
we still need a full board to vote on a site plan review.
I,
Oh, I
we only
understand
have
that,
two
I
members,
understand
so-
that.
I believe we
But we
still,
don't need a 4 out of 5, we only need,
Right, but we can't even open it yet. since
no, I
she's
understand that,
recusing.
but
Okay.
you read the
I-
article, you read the advertisement, and I just wanted to have that corrected.
I believe we still need a special permit because of the mansard roof.
I'm not sure on that.
That would be under 5.8, something.
Well, we can table that for now, I can certainly review that.
Yeah, so that's, that was my understanding. Sure. So, but we'll go on a little bit for that. So meanwhile, why don't we take care of, I'm going to go down to item D. This is 240 to 260 Pleasant Street, the Metro West Facilities LLC. These are the soccer fields on Pleasant Street that we have, has been kind of continued for a while as they kind of gather other information. It's been a rather long time, actually, and we kind of keep waiting for them to come back to us. But they have been dealing with the Zoning Board of Appeals and with Concom, and I think with some other questions. So we have talked to them, or Jasmine has, and they are happy to be continued until after the holidays, because after this meeting, we only have one more meeting before the holidays, and they were happy to be continued to our, again, to that January 8th meeting. So we will look to continue Metro West LLC to January 8th. Does anyone have any questions on that? Okay. All right, save people trouble. I will make a motion that we continue 240 to 260 Pleasant Street, Metro West Facilities LLC, to January 8th. Is there a second?
Second that.
And a roll call vote.
Deepa Venkatai.
Paul Montesino, aye.
And Tricia Kendall, aye, so that is continued. Did you?
Madam Chair, for the record, it is under the bylaw, section 8.5.11.4. The following standards for roofs shall apply. The planning board may grant a special permit in accordance with section 9.3 for mansard or other roof styles if the applicant can demonstrate that the proposed design will enhance the character of the neighborhood through inclusion of historically appropriate architecture details such as cornices, moldings, and the like.
That was where I thought the special permit was originating from, so we do need that fourth member. And,
He's Ellen.
and obviously Scott is not here. So, okay. What else can we get through?
You can do the minutes with the three of you.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, so the next thing we can take care of and get it off our list are the meeting minutes from October 23rd. So I was there, Deepa was there, Paul, you were there. This is the meeting where it was mostly about comprehensive plan. That the comprehensive plan team gave a presentation. So most of the comments on here are about comprehensive plan and that experience. And we did at the beginning part of that meeting, we had looked at our schedules and trying to put things in the right date in order to get us through to the new year. So we can take a few minutes and look at those. I'm gonna. Mostly summaries people had about their experiences on the comprehensive plan, and then we did have the little discussion about softening the verbiage of the one phrase. And that,
243, is the spelling right of Miss Solomon? Is that double OL?
I'm not sure. Just maybe you can check the spelling of
243.
that one.
I think that is it.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but we can check.
Looks good to me.
Okay. You okay? All right. All right, I will make a motion to accept the planning board meeting minutes for October 23rd as presented, except for a possible correction of a spelling of one name that we will double check. Is there a second?
Second that.
And a roll call vote?
Deepa Venkatai.
Paul Montesino, aye.
And Tricia Kendall, aye. All right, meeting minutes are taken care of. I am going to say we're going to take just a couple minutes recess, 5-minute recess, just so I can see if I can get a hold of Anna. All right. All right. Okay, we are back, everybody. So we are ready for the public hearing, B on here, 55 Tilton Avenue, special permit and site plan review. Vice Chair Anna Tesmaniski is online. So we do have our fourth member, Scott Pelletier, our fifth member of the board, will be able to read the meeting minutes for this meeting and then continue on with the process. So there will be a full board, for this project. So with that, I am going to pass it off to Anna, and I will recuse myself from the room, and obviously you'll let me know when I'll be coming back in. All right. Thank you. I apologize for the inconvenience.
Good evening, everybody. I apologize for being remote. Jasmine, would you like me to read the notification? Jasmine, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. I'm just echoing.
Okay, no problem.
Did you want me to read it? Are you all set?
I'm not sure why you're echoing, but I can certainly jump right in. So we're going to open the public hearing on 55 Tilton Avenue for the special permit and site plan review. Would you like to read the notice, Jasmine, or do you want me to read it?
I can read it. The town of Ashland, the Ashland Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, November 13th, 2025 at 7:15 p.m. in the second floor Select Board Hearing Room, Ashland Town Hall, 101 Main Street, Ashland, Mass. 01721. This public hearing can also be joined via Zoom video conference. Please see the Planning Board agenda for this link. The Planning Board will hear the petition of Tilton Sunrise LLC, 60 Pleasant Street, Ashland, MA 01721, requesting special permit and site plan review per Chapter 48, Section 6 of the Massachusetts General Law and Chapter 282, Sections 9.3, special permits and 9.4 site plan review of the Ashland bylaws. The applicant seeks to construct a 3-floor mixed-use building with 14 apartment units and 2 flex-space contractor bays. The property in question is located at 55 Tilton Avenue, Assessors Map 14, Lot 62 in the Ashland Downtown District C Zone. Parties wishing to be heard on this matter should submit comments to the Planning Board ahead of time and/or appear at the time and place of the indicated above. Materials may be viewed by appointment at Town Hall during normal business hours or at the following link.
I want to move the arrow around here.
Thank you, Jasmine. And as I understand, we have a presentation for the planning board from the applicant.
Yes, we do, and they're preparing it on the screen right now. I'm just gonna see if they need a hand.
I think we should be good.
think you have to click
What do I click?
this one. There you go. You good now?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Good evening, my name is George Connors. I'm representing Mr. Dudley of Tilton LLC. Tonight, we have our architect with us, Rich Rankin, and Mr. Dudley and his wife, along with Julia, his administrative assistant. I'm also an engineer with the Cornerstone who prepared the plan. Mr. Dudley has acquired a half-acre lot at 55 Tilton Street. As you can, is it on the,
It's not showing. Do you want me to? Sorry.
yeah, I have no idea. what-
You're quite all right.
Okay, and I got the red dot.
Yeah, you can set it to,
No. All right. Oh. Okay. Where's my red dot?
It should be the center. You can use the keypad or the center mouse.
I don't see the red dot, John. Oh, I got the arrow, all right. Yeah, if you can. Okay, so we have this, it's a half-acre lot, and the existing house on it, and then all the area, there's the existing house right there. All the area from that point down to the south of the site is basically an open grass field. We have the railroad track behind it. Along Tilton Avenue, we have two sections of frontage, and it goes up here too. And that particular amount is about 107 feet. It's a 1/2 acre lot. It sits next to a vacant lot that is owned by the town and is probably scheduled for some sort of a parking area. The site to the east of us, to the west of it, is 60 Pleasant, which Mr. Dudley owns as well. And then there is residential to the north of it. There's a house there, I think it's a duplex, and a barn in back that is used to be used for a cabinet shop. So the general area immediately surrounding it has a little bit of a commercial component. But then further north on Tilton, you can find houses and things of that nature. So this is a 1/2 acre site, and we are proposing about a 16,000 square foot total building, all floors, but about 5,400 square feet as the footprint. It will have some commercial space in the front of the building facing the railroad, and underground parking at floor grade for these two vehicles here. And we have approximately 24 parking spaces throughout this site. We are incorporating a through access from Tilton Avenue onto 60 Pleasant Street. And the major thrust of that is because, as Mr. Dudley knows, by renting out various offices in 60 Pleasant, people coming from the south will go down Tilton Avenue and take a left onto Pleasant, and then another immediate left into the parking lot for that. So our connection, our through connection here, we think is a worthy component of the design. The site, as I said, all to the south of the building existing on the site is all grass. It's fenced in. And it has a drain line that runs through along here. The drain line drains from the Nyanza site and picks up what's known as Chemical Brook, and there's contaminants in that. There's also contaminants in the groundwater that runs under the building. And for that, we have discussed this with our LSP, and we can build this building with vapor barriers for occupancy in it. We will have a plan for excavating soil, for dealing with groundwater during construction, and safety values for the workers. The drain line that runs through here is severely damaged from whatever corrosion may have occurred in it. I have met with the DPW on site, and we've evaluated that, and we will replace that with a plastic pipe that should be able to withstand the whatever is in the water in that particular area. There is no easement for that. It's just a pipe that exists there by whatever they did to install it. The site cannot allow, under the AUL, Activities Use Limitation, that EPA and the DEP has, to have any infiltration of groundwater, of surface water into the ground from the increases in impervious surfaces from the site. As I indicated, a lot of the site is all grassed, so there'd be a small runoff component with that. But with the introduction of the paving and the building, that will increase, not markedly. We've given various stormwater calculations in the application package, which I'm sure your peer review people will evaluate. We have asked for and will ask for, under the stormwater bylaw, a waiver that allows for that waiver to be given because of the federal requirement of no infiltration into the ground. As I said, the DPW is in favor of this pipe replacement, and it is our intention to grant an easement for it and memorialize it in perpetuity. The site has very minimal grading. It will come in basically as a very short slope coming in and through the site again. We are capturing all the water in a southerly direction, and it will go into a catch basin here, and then ultimately into the drain system. We will have a storm scepter to do total suspended solids removal to 88%. The criteria is 80%. There's a small wetland on the other side of the railroad track, and the 100-foot buffer basically just touches the corners of our lot. We are going to file with conservation because of the stormwater, so we'll be following that process. In terms of the site itself, we are going to realign some parking over in this location here, and we're also going to have a little bit of a speed bump so that we don't get traffic coming through at a rapid clip. It's going to be basically dedicated to the uses on on 60 Pleasant Street because of the ability to get extra parking on that site. That's basically the site conditions. I'd be happy to respond to any questions and comments now, or simply turn it over to Mr. Rankin, the architect, to go through the building. At your pleasure.
Before we start with the building, could you, in looking at the narrative document that you submitted with your application, you went through the various zoning variances in a way that you are seeking. With our board being fairly new, would you mind walking through specifically what you are seeking relative to the special permit application and the site alteration special permit? What are you seeking outside of the normal zoning requirements for this project?
First of all, the waiver is strict compliance with the stormwater regulations. As I indicated, there is a public policy that is not inconsistent with the bylaw, basically because of the AUL with Nyanza. The conditions is it's allowed by federal, state, or local statutes, which in this case, both federal and state statute and regulation relative to the plume. It is in the overriding public interest. Certainly impacting that plume and changing any of the groundwater characteristics of a contaminated plume is not in anybody's interest. And it's not inconsistent with the purposes and intent of the bylaw. And I think we can certainly understand that the bylaw is designed for public health, safety, and welfare, and the health of the groundwater plume and impacting that so that it doesn't follow the model of the EPA and DEP would be appropriate to make that finding. In terms of the site, we are asking for a mixed residential and commercial business use in the ADD-C, which is an allowed use. So this building has some commercial in the first floor as required, and then some residential on that floor and above. In terms of the ADD performance standards, the suitability of the site, in terms of that, we are providing, I think what we would consider as a vast improvement on traffic going to 60 Pleasant Street. I don't think we have any impacts whatsoever on traffic in the area, and there's plenty of parking, not only on this site, but on the adjacent 60 Pleasant Street. Your town is proposing or has talked about a parking lot beside this at the corner of Cherry and Pleasant, which is our abutter. And I think that covers the impact on traffic and pedestrian flow, although pedestrian flow would be simply across Tilton Avenue, and then you are in the downtown proper with one going through one block. So it has a lot of benefits to the downtown proper with respect to the services that are available at that location. And the pedestrian access, I think, is being provided for along on this. There's a sidewalk that goes up Tilton Avenue. Our sidewalk coming out of the building adjacent to Tilton Avenue will connect into that. There is sidewalk that will be continued down Cherry Street from other projects that have been approved. So we will be able to extend that particular sidewalk complex. That sidewalk complex continues across Magunko Road and will connect to that. It's a kind of a walking trail across the swamp all the way out to, I think it's Memorial Drive, that was installed not too long ago. And the project on Magunko Road provided an easement for a sidewalk to connect to that. So this would complete a connection right straight through from that. In terms of the design principles, I think most of those are with respect to the building itself. Is there anything you think I've missed or you don't expansion?
So I think you answered my question partly, and we can certainly move on to the architect and the design elements. I just wanted to clear up, looking at your narrative, my question was what led to the special permit filing, just so that we're clear for this board. And correct me if I'm wrong, George, it looks like you are filing for a special permit not only because of the stormwater waiver that you're seeking, which will also involve the Conservation Committee, but you do have you have a requirement to file that for the downtown ADD zoning district requirements. And that's why you have a special permit with us, is that right?
I'm not sure that's correct. The downtown district allows, as a Y in the table of uses, a mixed-use building, residential, commercial, which this is. There was some
Okay, and you're
discussion-
following all the height requirements and setbacks pursuant to that. You're not seeking any changes to that particular zoning.
The architect will answer that, but it's my understanding, no. However, there was one issue that we talked about with your planner, and it appears that there is a diagram in 8.511 that shows a mansard roof with a notation that that's requiring a special permit. However, 8.511 in the text and the 4 pictures that follow that show the exact building top that we are proposing. And it's my understanding that town council will be contacted on that, but that's not a big issue at this stage. I think it's a site plan review, but if the special permit is required for this type of roof, I don't think that's a big issue either.
Okay, so Jasmine, just to ground the planning board in the proper zoning elements here, before we start the design element part of the presentation, do you want to clarify for the planning board? It sounds like the applicant is saying the only special permit here is relative to the stormwater. Is that currently accurate?
We currently believe that there is a special permit required for mansard roofs as specifically listed in the bylaw where it says the planning board may grant a special permit in accordance with 9.3 for mansard roofs. The discussion is that a mansard roof is somehow shown earlier in the bylaw under an allowed use, but is not expressly allowed. Verbally, it is very explicitly stated that a special permit is required for a mansard roof. The question is, since there happens to be an image of it in an incorrect section, does that negate this part of the bylaw? I'm going to confirm with town council that that's not the case, but I suspect it's not going to be. I suspect they will need a special permit for the mansard roof, as we have a definition for mansard and it states it explicitly in section 8.511.4.
Understood. I appreciate that explanation so that we, as a planning board, have the proper mechanism to go on in the presentation and understand the nature of what the applicant is asking us. Before we start with the design elements, do other members of the planning board have questions for George Connor at this phase?
We're good, Anna.
Okay. And George, you can go ahead and continue with your presentation.
This is Richard Rankin, Rankin Associates, and we're providing the architectural design services for the project. I think George has completed his presentation, so if it pleases the board, I would go through the floor plans, elevations, and some views at this point, if that's okay.
Yes, thank you.
So with regard to the floor plans, and maybe taking a step back as far as the meeting the zoning requirements, we believe we meet the requirements of the zoning with regard to setbacks, height, parking, and the like. So just to put that on the table, we feel we're meeting the requirements of the zoning bylaw in that regard. So going on to the floor plans, this is the first floor plan. And as George mentioned, we have some commercial space. We have 2 contractor bays on the lower level. We have access to those from the south elevation. We have an office, some toilet facilities, overhead doors, and so on. Those units are recessed in a bit, as George mentioned. We do have a secondary entrance over here into Bay 1, and we have our lobby, some utility space, some vertical circulation, and also 2 accessible units on the first floor. And those are adjacent over here to our accessible spaces and access through this corridor presently here, also with some utility space. On the second floor, we have a total of 6 units consisting of a studio, 2 one-bedrooms, and 3 two-bedroom units. We've got a central circulation corridor, vertical circulation via these stairs. We do have some bump outs, if you will, on this particular floor on the north side, also on the south side, and at the stair tower, and we can talk about the reason for those once we take a look at the elevations. The third floor is similar to the second floor layout, except that the units are slightly smaller due to the fact that the mansard roof is sloping and we lose a little space in that configuration. But again, same unit count, 6 units total. So total 14 units, 2 contractor bays, and I think that's the long and short of it on the floor plans. The elevations, this is the south and the west elevation. The facade materials really consist of a masonry base throughout on all 4 elevations, clapboard siding, architectural trims, brackets, moldings, and a mansard roof with dormered windows. That occurs on the 3rd floor. As I mentioned, the south elevation has recesses at the contractor bays, and again at where the overhead doors are and the access there on the south side. The west elevation shows the stairwell accented a bit, and the first floor residential units and the second floor residential units above that entrance to that stairwell. The entrance elevation faces Tilton. We have the entrance to the lobby. On the left, we have the stair tower, which is accented a bit of a protrusion. We're trying to break up the facade as best we can to cut down on the massing of the building. We have an entrance portico that's open, but has columns that provide cover. And this is that separate entrance to that flex space on the first floor. And then the north elevation is similar to the most, same materials. We have this bump out in the center area here, again, to break up that facade. And we've got the contractor bays here and the residential units here. This is a view pretty much from the entrance, from the street, showing kind of the size and massing, the proportions of the building. as mentioned, a little bit of an overhang here. We tried to accentuate this tower, and we've got a bit of a accentuated corner here with the residential units on the first floor and residential units above. We show some signage off of Tilton. We've got our entrance portico here, and, you know, we've got these brackets, some shutters. I think it's a bit of a work in progress, but I think right now this is where we're at, and certainly open to discussion. I don't know if we want to get into the landscape plan at this point, but basically we've got access from the sidewalk on Tilton to the contractor bay, the main entrance to the front, kind of a secondary walkway here, and then access to the parking here. The perimeter of the building is landscaped pretty extensively. We've got a seating area over here, and, you know, the requisite amount of parking. Signage location is here, and we've got a view of that, preliminary view of what the signage could look like. We've got the apartments and then 2 spaces for the tenants. And then we've just got a series of photos that show in context what's existing from various angles. You can see the existing home that is going to get removed. And then we just had some precedent images of some of the residences in the neighborhood on Tilton and on Cherry, I believe, that show a kind of a consistent vernacular of what we're proposing, and hoping that our architectural design is complementary to these residences that exist. So with that, I'll conclude the design piece. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Are there questions from the planning board?
Angel?
I have a couple questions. When you're referring to clapboard, are you going like hardy plank, or were you thinking vinyl clapboard?
I think it's a little bit early to pin that down, but I think it'd probably be a composite panel.
Okay. And then next sort of question I have on the east elevation, which is the front of the building, there's a lot of doors, including utility, which kind of, I don't know, reduces the obviousness of what the front is. And I'm wondering, you have that secondary office entrance with minor changes. It could go under the main entrance, and those utility doors could move to the north. And then that would, I think, simplify and clean up sort of, this is the front of the building on that road.
So potentially moving the office and the
Yeah, if you like mirror that whole section almost and rotate, you could, I mean, that's a small change, but just when I looked at that front elevation, it kind of loses front elevation entrance power.
yeah, I think we would consider that.
But I wonder if you need that door location because of the diagonal between the one entry to the other, because it's pretty deep. I wonder if you need that.
From
So
an egress
You're
standpoint,
saying,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think you'll be okay, but you'll obviously have to run that
I
calculation.
believe we would be okay, yeah.
So those are sort of my comments.
Any other questions
I do.
from the planning board?
You said the 2 units on level 1 are accessible units,
Correct.
correct? And is that sitting on slab on grade?
Yes, it is.
So when you walk out of those accessible units, you are there, when you get out of the building, you are on, there's no sidewalk there to get to a parking lot.
Yeah, the sidewalk is here. We've got the drop-off area and a handicap spot there. I think.
There are 2 units.
Yes,
So
I
how
think-
does somebody from one unit get to their car park? Because the other car park, the accessible parking is away
Yeah.
from the building.
Yeah, I think you've picked up on it. I think the intent really was to extend this out a bit, have a centrally located drop-off zone, and have a space each side.
Okay, so,
I think we would make that change. I guess I thought that's what it was, but as I look at the plan, this may be an earlier version of that.
okay.
But yes, 2 spaces required.
I'm assuming the rest of the building does not have accessible units, but you're showing all your turning radius all across the board to just kind of design, but accessible units are only on level 1.
Correct.
Okay. And it is literally level 1 is sitting on slab on grade. There is
Correct.
no elevation change to get into the building?
Correct. Yeah, as George mentioned, the site is pretty flat, so we can grade so that there's no ramp required to get from the stairwell corridor to the accessible spaces.
Okay. You may want to make sure that the walkway from the building out to the car parks and the 2 accessible units are there, because there's no walkway on the east-west side of the building? Or is that north? Where is your,
Yeah, I think north is up in this plan.
okay, so the west of the building, so,
Deepa, any additional questions from you?
no, I'm good, thank you.
Anyone else on the
Yeah.
planning board? I do have a few questions
only-
myself, but I would,
Is it only accessible by stairs for levels 2 and 3?
Correct.
any other questions in the room from the planning board?
Just one more question. When I was reading through, there was mention of a basement. Is there no plan for a basement based on the,
No plan for a basement.
So I'll jump in with a few questions. I specifically wanted, I understand there's some controversy with the applicant relative to the special permit for the roof. I do think it'll be helpful if we spend a bit of time focusing on that so that the planning board can begin to understand what you have in mind in the event we do get confirmation from town council that a special permit is needed for that. So if you could walk us through those elements. And then in addition, if you could comment on the traffic flow on the site and the impact on traffic overall.
In terms of the special permit, whether it's required or not, we don't see that that's a big issue. We have designed, the architects designed the building so that it would mimic the areas around, as you could see from the photographs. In addition, in the bylaw at 8511, there's language that you require or you want us to design it contemporaneous with the buildings in the area. And then there are 4 little diagrams below that that show this particular roof type. I think it's the lower right of the 4. And then further on in that bylaw, it has some language with another diagram with the mansard. It's not a big issue to us either way. We would rather not have to get a special permit if we don't need one, simply because it's an easier process, but that's not the issue. In terms of traffic flow, the way around from Tilton Avenue into Pleasant Street, into the 60 Pleasant Street property has the proper radiuses for emergency apparatus to make it through. We think that's an enhancement. The overall aspect of the connection through, which is one of the driving forces for Mr. Dudley to acquire this property as the owner of the adjacent property, is that he has noted that a lot of traffic that comes to 60 Pleasant Street has to queue up at the end of Tilton onto Pleasant, and then take a left-hand turn once they're on Pleasant in, and that's a pretty difficult turning movement in the morning. So if he can eliminate a fair amount of that, this really is a addition to the traffic enhancement in the area. So I think that overall, there is a minimum impact from this particular building's additional traffic, but that is mitigated by the efforts that will take some of it away from the intersection. And as you know, in traffic, it's all about queuing at intersections and levels of service. So we think that's what would enhance it. We don't think that there's a need for a extensive traffic study on it. We certainly can generate the amount of traffic at peak hours based on ITE standards if that's something that's required, but that's entirely up to you.
So Jasmine, I'd like to ask you as the planner to clarify two things. As I understand, the narrative of the applicant for this particular application does not have written analysis of 8511. So I assume once town council opines on that particular need for a special permit, if that's necessary, we would reconvene on that particular issue, giving the applicant the ability to have a written response. Am I right on that?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so any elements pertaining to that as far as design, we would come back to. And then the other question I had is do we have the jurisdiction in this context to require a traffic study? And if so, at what juncture would we do that?
You absolutely, and any site that is a traffic generating site that's non-residential, you have the right within the bylaw to request peer review services. And in fact, we have reached out for peer review services for stormwater and traffic for this particular site. We just haven't received anything back at this time. So it is something that we would always ask for any type of commercial project or multifamily project.
And then my last question also for the planner and the applicant is appropriate is on the Nuanza issue. I understand there's documentation now with Concom. However, for the ADD application component, it does appear that we have jurisdiction on the stormwater piece ourselves. Can you speak to that as far as the Nuanza issue, Jasmine, for us so that we better understand our role for that particular element outside of Concom's role?
So the board, the way that we review our stormwater is actually not tied to the Nyanza. Nothing that the board does reviews the Nyanza plume. That's overseen by state agencies, DEP and the EPA, and regulated through them. The waiver request through this stormwater bylaw is a very typical one. And it has more to do with the calculations, and we can get further, more professional interpretation of that from our peer review engineer once we receive those comments. But this is a standard waiver request, and it's not specifically tied to the Nyanza in any way. It's just more to do with the infiltration on the site. But we won't be reviewing this, the planning board will not be reviewing this site as in regard to Nyanza in any way. I think it's information that was given to the board for you to be aware of, but it's not something that's within our purview to review or condition or any way. We have no professionals on our team that review that type of work. That's all state level review.
And the reason I ask for clarification is the applicant's narrative does say stormwater management is impacted by the Nuanza plume. So infiltration of increased runoff will not be provided or allowed by the EPA or DEP. So you're saying, Jasmine, that particular sentence is really about Concom jurisdiction, not us.
Right, we can't, I mean, we do technically oversee the stormwater bylaw, but we can't put something in place that DEP or the EPA would regulate because it's not within our purview. There's nothing within our bylaw that gives us the authority to regulate anything under Nyanza because it's well outside of our purview. We don't have regulations.
We essentially have stormwater jurisdiction, but we have to be consistent with state and federal law.
Right, exactly.
Thank you for the clarification. I don't have any further questions. Does anyone else on the planning board have questions before we wrap up the presentation further and
I
take
just
public comment?
I just had a quick one. Can you walk me through again the parking spots? So the parking spots on the left-hand side of the page is for Pleasant Street. It's not for this project, correct?
It's for both.
So
We have excess parking.
if somebody's in a wheelchair using that accessible spot next to the building, how do they kind of loop around and get out to the street? There's no turning radius or anywhere to kind of back up the car because you have parking spots right till the end on the left-hand side.
The one that's on the property line,
Yeah.
there's a, the dashed area there.
Can you move your mouse so that,
Sure.
can you, as you're explaining that?
This little dashed area here.
Correct. So if somebody's in that car spot that next to it, how do they,
Well,
do
that's the
they,
handicap spot
correct,
there.
do they back up towards the property line on the left-hand side? How do they get out of that spot?
How do they get out of that spot?
Yeah,
They back up like this
and then
and leave
they
whatever way they want.
go onto the Tilton Ave, or they go onto,
They could go like that, back up and go out
but
that way.
there's a,
I think there's an overlay issue, so there's some spaces that are getting restriped. So it's really showing both. I think that the intent was that the ones that are going north-south, if you will, are dotted and going to be restriped.
so how many parking spots do we have for this project?
24 are required, 24 are provided.
How many are required?
Let me find that. It's less than that because it's only one per. It's less than 20. I don't have that actual number there, but you have one per studio and 1.5 per twos and a commercial. I just don't have that number. I can get you that for the next hearing.
And can we, somebody re-look at that site plan to make sure the parking spots are correctly noted there? And has the fire chief looked at this plan at all? and
Not
weighed
yet.
in?
We have not sent, oh, wait, did you
We've-
send it, John?
We have, but we haven't received any comment yet.
But you did send it, John.
We do, the town does. We've sent it to the fire department.
Okay.
So it sounds like we need, for next time, we need a better show of where the parking spots are and a confirmation that it's been cleared by fire.
And the path from the building to the accessible spots, kind of just a deeper dive into the site plan would be helpful.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from the planning board at this time?
We're good here.
And Jasmine, I believe we can take public comment at this phase. Is this the, and do we have any public comment in the room or online at this time?
I have no one in the room. No one's raised
Looks
their
like-
hand online.
Okay. With no public comment, is there anything else the applicant wants to add before we open it up for discussion of the planning board?
No.
Okay.
John, do you want to do
Yeah.
a summary?
If you'd like to summarize your presentation, you could certainly do that.
Good evening, John Dudley, I'm the owner of the property, resident in town, and I think we came in front and kind of showed you this a little while back, but I think we had a different team. I think you picked up most of what we're talking about. There is an overlay issue with this. I thought we had a clean site plan in front of you, though, even if it didn't make the slides, but if not, we'll get back to you on the parking.
The parking, by the way, it says on the plans, it's required for 23 spaces and it's provided 23 spaces.
Oh? Okay,
It
we
says
put
it
that
in the
on.
bottom right-hand corner
Well,
of
let's double
sheet
check the
2.
numbers, because the Ashland Downtown District has, when you follow the bylaw, you get a formula, so it ends up being about 56.25% of what you would normally need based on the zoning. It's 75% of 75%, so we'll go back, we'll confirm all that for you. But obviously, we're trying to make a decent investment in this property. We did buy it for that access, and I'll fast forward. Some people might say, oh, trucks are not all going to go through. We really don't want any major truck traffic going through there. It's mostly employee parking. And if you have ever been down Tilton, a lot of people, their GPS just takes them there, so they have to take this really hard left. You know what I'm talking about? Left and then a quick left, and so it just creates this weird little traffic pattern. And I think it'd be very helpful for us to be able to go through there and mitigate that. But obviously, we want a good harmonious use right there between the mill, the red building we've got there that we reconditioned, and I like that the uses are a little different, yet, and people that are working during the day, most of the people that live there will be gone during the day, and then vice versa. So even with those two contractor bays, that might end up being one decent retail user, but it's kind of tucked away, so it's not quite a retail use. But hopefully we can find a tenant for that. But in the end, we're trying to make this project work. If it becomes too cumbersome and difficult to do, it's not a big winner for us. So I know sometimes people look at projects like this, and if it gets too difficult, this won't exist. Like this is going to happen. So I've obviously got some investment into it already. I would like to have this. It's quite a project. Construction costs are extremely expensive, as you probably are well aware. And building now is extremely expensive, even with some of the codes and things we're talking about, just trying to put this together. And I would love to make this viable, and I would love to make this investment. It is substantial. Even at a pretty small building like this, you'd be shocked at the overall cost. I mean, it sounds like some of you guys are in this business, so you know what I'm talking about. So again, trying to put something beautiful in here, increase the tax basis, a little bit of housing, a little bit of commercial. But if this gets too cumbersome, I won't do it. So I'm trying to, putting it out there, hopefully we can work together and find a good way to do something nice for town. I think a lot of the neighbors would like this, and what it'll add to the town is kind of beat up now. I think this whole area is the parking's in the front. It's a dangerous even entrance and exit for the tenant that we're renting to right now. And I'd love for the town to sell me the lot right next to it, and we could tie in the beautiful parking, but I realize that makes a challenge for who gets to stay overnight and all that. So, but I am open to that too. So, thank you.
Does this more accurately show how you have this?
Yeah, if you kind of
These hatching are grayed out, so I think these are the intended spaces here.
We'll have to clean it. Yeah, the ones that are going horizontal won't exist. You got it.
Right.
It's pinned up. We basically turned it, and then one of the handicaps. We have to confirm the
Jasmine,
number.
on these drawings, it's corrected.
On
Yeah.
those, it's
Do
correct.
we
Okay.
even need 2 AD units? I thought it was one.
Yeah, that still needs accessible from the building out.
Yeah, we got to move it, right? But
So the walkways need to be
are they
still
2
fixed.
units that we need? Though?
Yes.
2 leasing
That in
units
turn
for
will
half
change
ADA?
the parking
I thought it was
spots,
one.
because you need an accessible pathway from the building out to your parking spots, so that car
Yeah.
spots will not be the
Right here,
same.
Deepa.
Yeah,
And we only, by our numbers, we only need 1 ADA unit accessible.
One.
Yeah, just one. And I think we just left one down below in case somebody needed it for the front, but we could, of course, put that right next to it. If we even need to do 2 spaces, we'll confirm that.
Okay.
We don't need an elevator, obviously. That's also cost prohibitive, and 2 of the spaces for the commercial are inside, and therefore the floor drains for that, so, for the contractor base. So, good? Does that answer everything?
you don't need the parking spots, but you still need a walkway, because there are residents who would be using that egress stair or the stair on the left-hand side of the building to come out of the building. So right now, this drawing does not show any walkway until you get onto a parking spot and walk out. So it still needs walkway on the left-hand side of the building. You have it on the right-hand side, but the 2 ends are not connected. So that's something that you need to still work on. And that in turn will affect your parking spots.
I think we have the space there against the building, but we can,
Yeah,
We'll look into
it's a minor tweak, but
good. Anything else?
I'm still curious about the Nayans and how much asphalt can be put on this site. So something to definitely get Concom to look into it.
They can comment on it. I would say on the building next door, and we did everything over there since 2014. So, and on the board of my church, which owns the chunk of the property on the street, so I'm very familiar with it. You just have to follow certain procedures of how you do it, and everybody else gets scared being around it. And we're in compliance. We work with the DP on a regular basis. We got monitoring wells all over the place, and they've been a good partner with us on the property. They still check this property regularly. But there's a certain way they want us to do this with an LSP available and monitoring the whole site. He's got to put his license on it. So I think mostly
That's a continuous monitoring?
yeah.
And do you have remediation to do before you start construction?
He'll literally lay out a plan that we have to follow, and he's got to be part of the construction crew periodically. So, but I think the response is you're going to get a lot of blank stares from the town level, because it's not something they want to be responsible for.
Sure.
But
Do you have an LSP chosen already?
yeah, Tom Williamson, yeah. Yep, he does the building next door too.
Oh,
Well,
perfect.
and Pleasant Street as well, 240, 260, 280, 330, 350. So we're familiar with it, and again, you don't want to have these properties not get developed, not get improved. You just want to do it right. You don't want to make things worse. And it's worth, on the planning board, you definitely want to research what all that was with Nyanza over the years and how everybody has to be careful with the underground water that's down deep, because you obviously don't want to affect anything that goes from west to east, downtown. So, good.
Could I ask John Dudley one question? Certainly I understand that it's Concom that has full-scale jurisdiction over that issue. Would it be cumbersome for you, once after you're in front of them, to come back to us and summarize not only their findings for us, which we can review, but also give us that kind of overall arching introduction as to how you will manage that component on the site? We certainly believe as a planning board, I can't speak for all of us, that while we may not have direct jurisdiction over this like Concom does, we do need to be consistent with various regulations, and I think it'll be important for us to get maybe a small written document from you that just sort of summarizes your commitment to those elements, whatever they may be, so that things like oversight, et cetera, we have documentation, and we can close the record on this at the right time in a way that Nyanza is fully addressed. Is that something that you would find doable?
Yeah, I mean, we're planning on doing that anyways. You'll see on the first page in the bottom of this, I think we attached Tom's letter about the project initially, the LSP. So, George, is there anything from a Concom standpoint that we would normally even...
Stormwater.
Okay, stormwater related, okay. So they'll have that available to them, right?
Pardon me?
They'll
Great.
have that available to them.
Yeah, we will file with the Conservation Commission
Yeah.
for stormwater permit. We have the stormwater analysis and design for the drainage systems.
Mhm.
And,
Great.
yeah, we're ready to file that, but this was the first step.
Okay. Did you catch that? We're planning on filing with them, and then, I mean, if there's any additional information, it's pretty normal in terms of a site
We've
plan.
actually already been to conservation about a year ago.
Yeah, I feel like this has been a while. I don't know,
Okay.
does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
Any other questions from the planning board?
My one quick, I've never caught the angles of mansard roof in Ashland. Is there anywhere that we define, because this is pretty vertical?
We do define, we have a loose definition. So in definitions, we have mansard roof definition, which I will pull up and read so I don't botch it with my memory.
Because this angle of this top floor looks
We don't
literally
give any
vertical.
specific angles. It says a roof having two slopes on all four sides, with the lower slope almost vertical and the upper slope almost horizontal. I don't know where that definition came from. That doesn't sound like a building code definition to me. So we can get clarity on that from council when we ask.
Yeah, this looks pretty almost vertical. Does not look like there's much angles there, so something to check into.
Is, I mean, from like a legal perspective, that's one thing. You're saying you don't like how it looks, or because we can, I mean.
That's pretty open to interpretation. I mean, the slope is almost vertical. That's very open to perception and interpretation. What I think is almost vertical, you may disagree with.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, in terms of looking back and forth, it's kind of a, I hate to run you around.
No.
We could represent something like this as a flat roof. Yeah, I'm trying to make something nicer looking, that maintains a floor plan that's leasable. If we start to shrink, that was a downside. I was kind of disappointed to see that. I mean, I know why they did the mansard thing the way they
mansard
did. I
roof,
realized
yeah.
that project went sideways, but it shrinks the unit so much to the point we have no more leasable space, and then we can't get higher. So we would just go an additional floor, and then it makes a project like this viable. But because they put that in there, it kind of hurts the ability to do the downtown infill, which I think we were originally trying to do when we put the ADD in place in the first place.
Right.
We were trying to incentivize this exact type of project. So,
You may have the advantage, if you haven't defined it anywhere, you have the advantage of what you have here, but it just feels.
That's the only definition we have, which is
Yeah.
pretty,
And it looks like it's contradicting on two different sections already, so I was just curious, because it's literally vertical. So if we don't have angles and the slope's not defined anywhere,
right.
I guess it's okay, because it's also a special permit, so something to look into.
Right.
So just from an architectural perspective, I mean, a mansard roof traditionally was almost vertical. So it was originally like, we're gonna put roofing where we would normally put siding, so we don't have to pay taxes on that third floor. That was like the historic beginning of a mansard roof, so I think traditionally they are pretty much
True, and
vertical or
I-
close to vertical.
Yeah, and Ashland has a couple of them, and each one looks so different. So I was curious if there was
The trouble you
somewhere-
get into mansards is when they're not detailed.
True.
So if it's just a box and you've literally roofed it, but if you have the proper cornice detail and the base detail, then you
Yeah,
have something that
absolutely.
is mansard and not just tax evasion.
It feels like you used every inch to get to that 38 feet on that floor. So it'll be interesting to see how you detail that.
Sounds like we'll come back to the roof once we have legal counsel opinion as well. Thank you, Deepa, for that. Any additional questions from the planning board? And it sounds like we've completed the presentation from the applicant, is that right?
Yeah, it's complete, yeah, all set, thank you.
And I don't see anybody raising hands for public comment, so I think we're good on that. And we can have a discussion as the planning board on this project. I started making a list of items that seem outstanding, such as obviously Concom opinion, legal counsel opinion. We would need to come back with both of those for discussion. The fire department is being asked to look at this. Traffic studies happening. And Jasmine, did you say there is a stormwater third-party peer
Stormwater.
review?
Absolutely.
Have I missed any other additional items as far as peer review is concerned? Fire, traffic, stormwater. I think that covers all the third-party evaluations. Jasmine, is that right?
For everything that we're waiting to hear back on, yes,
Yep.
it does.
And then Deepa had requested a better drawing relative to parking in a walkway. So those are my only items as far as what we need to do next. And I wanted to make sure the planning board agreed with that list. And if the planning board wanted to discuss any of those items or anything else, we could do that now.
Very good, thank you.
Okay. So Jasmine, what would be the next step for this? Do we have a return date for the applicant in mind that's
So
been
I'm assuming
discussed with
they
the applicant?
would probably like to come back for our next meeting on December 11th. At that time, we should hopefully have peer review by Mike Carter. And traffic has been taking very long, but I'm hoping we'll at least have the initial review. But I think at that point, they may even have time to respond to stormwater as well. So I think if you'd be open to continuation till December 11th, is that the next date you?
When do you expect the reviews to come in?
They've been taking longer than usual, so I'm hoping within the next 2 weeks.
And we need a week or so to respond and then to review the response.
We're only meeting once in December on the 11th, and then we meet again on January 8th.
I think January.
January?
Okay. Any issue with that continuation to December 11th, planning board?
Or January 8th?
Or
They
January
agree.
8th, excuse me. And Jasmine, do we need to formally close the public hearing tonight or?
No, keep it open so that
Okay.
you can still receive information.
Understood. And so with that in mind, can I have a motion to continue?
Motion to continue 55 Tilton Ave to January 8th.
And is there a second?
Second the motion.
And a roll call vote?
Deepa Venkatai.
Anna Tesmanitsky, aye.
Angel Kazadian, aye.
And it passes. Thank you, 55 Tilton Ave applicant for that. And let me see if I can text Tricia to return.
Okay, so, just saying what we need to do. We got done with meeting minutes already. Okay, further down on our agenda, we have a few things we need to review and sign off on.
Yes, the 117 Oregon Road.
But while we're on the special permits, maybe I can, we don't have anyone here from the Y, do we? So it's just our own kind of conversation, right? Oh, and thank you, Anna, for taking over there. Just kind of just jumped right back into business, but I appreciate you taking over. So, yeah, so we have these little things that we need to take care of that are not public hearings. I'm just kind of wrapping up a few things. We had put the YMCA on there so that we could start to discuss findings if we have time in this meeting. If we don't, we don't. So is this something we can, do we need to, can we just, I think we can take anything out of order, right? So I think we can go down, take care of these items, and then if we still have energy and want to start going through some of the YMCA findings, we can. But there's no one here from the Y that we're holding up in.
Oh, correct.
Yeah, okay. All right, then let's do that first. Let's go down to, but we will need to come back to that, so don't let me forget that we need to come back to the Y, because we'll at least need to continue it. So why don't we take care of 117 Oregon Road, that's the cell tower. Cell tower, sorry, is that just my copy? Everyone else? But everyone has one?
Everybody has one.
Okay. So we were gonna, this is from, basically, we recently did T-Mobile at this cell tower. This is the cell tower right at the Oregon Club. It's right in the backyard of the Oregon Club. I didn't even know it was there, you know, but it's there. And we just did one for T-Mobile. This is on the same pole. We went through, like, it's swapping out three, taking off three, putting on three antennas, except it's for Verizon.
Right.
But otherwise, it's all the same. We kind of went through the documents last time, and I think the only question was a question Deepa had about the lease agreement. Oh, and I see Dominica there. Dominica, can you just explain to us how the lease document works and why we would look at the lease document and see T-Mobile on there instead of Verizon? Can you explain to us how that works?
That's because, Madam Chair, the original tower was part of the T-Mobile portfolio, and that is actually still the existing legal entity for it. And when Crown purchased it, it left the name intact. So Crown owns numerous portfolios. We have AT&T portfolios, and the leases reference that, but that's why we have the attorney-in-fact language also in the lease that references Crown subsidiaries, which I provided with you. So it's the legal entity of the tower, the name.
Okay. It's really not my wheelhouse, the business end of things, so.
But that's I could add that and say the subsidiary of Crown Castle's lease agreement in the decision, if you'd like.
Yeah, it's something that
That
just, if
makes it much
somebody's
simpler.
looking at these packages 1 year from now on and we all don't remember why we did what we did, it'd be helpful to have a
I
note.
can absolutely.
Okay, so we'll just add into
It's,
the decision. So now we're looking at the decision for, no, and I haven't, there's another extra copy here.
oh, yeah.
Do you have one, Angel, to? Here,
Oh, maybe I took hers.
okay, yeah, we have some extra ones around. It's very interesting reading.
So on page 2, on the bottom where it says lease agreement between Catherine B., I would just add right there, the subsidiary of Selco.
So that would be at the bottom of page 2?
Yes,
that what you said?
beneath that.
Okay.
So that way that would be,
Yeah,
that
so,
would clarify,
right, so
I
Deep,
think.
right, so Deepa's just suggesting that, that on the bottom of page 2, when it talks about the lease agreement, that we just add in a little bit of the language so that it's in there, that we understand that even though this says T-Mobile, that it's the right,
Yeah.
it's the right document.
But I
Yes,
can-
just referencing like that is the legal entity name of the tower when Crown purchased it.
Exactly. That's perfect. I can make that change right now, and if the rest of it looks okay, I can print it.
Okay, yep, that looks good. Otherwise, I think, otherwise, all the facts and findings, besides changing the 6 to a 3, besides that it's Verizon versus T-Mobile, everything else is identical to the one we just did. Is that correct?
Correct. But it's,
I mean, there wasn't much to the first one anyway. There's not a lot,
right, but the plan numbers and everything of, obviously, the sheet
Right.
set plans, everything, all of those
Right.
details have been updated, but essentially,
right, because it
it's
looks
the
like
same authorization, 3, taking down 3, replacing 3.
Yep, okay. So, and I think, right, we voted on this last time. So we're just making that change. That's right, we voted on it last time. So we're just making the change in the documents that we can, so that we can sign it.
I don't think we didn't vote last time because we weren't sure on the lease agreement.
Oh, that's
So we
right.
I
have-
thought we did conditional, didn't we?
Did you vote? Let me double check it.
Because it felt like it was a very small thing, and since she was not there, I thought we voted.
That we voted based on that condition to find out about that?
Yeah.
We
That's
can-
what I recall.
That is what you recall
Okay.
as well? Okay.
Yeah, we voted with that condition. We could, doesn't hurt to vote again if we so choose right now. If
That's very true.
We have four of us, so why don't we just do that? We'll count the first one, but just to make sure, so we don't have to, well, it'll be a safety vote, so.
I can make that motion.
Oh, that'd be great, thank you. In case
I'll
needed.
Yep, and so we're talking about, this is for 111 Oregon Road, correct?
That's right.
117.
Oh, sorry, 117.
117.
So sorry, 117, my apologies. So I will make a motion to approve for 117 Oregon Road special permit modification. So we are approving the special permit and special permit modification per chapter 282, section 6.4 wireless communication facilities and 9.3 of the Ashland bylaws.
All right, is there a second?
Second that,
And a roll call vote?
Deepa Venkatai.
Paul Montesino,
Anna
aye.
Tesmanitsky.
Oh,
That's okay. Anna Tesmanitsky, aye.
okay,
Then we should finish, right? Paul Montesino, aye.
yeah, and Tricia Kendall, aye. So, like I said, I think we did it last time, but just to make sure, things have been a little crazy lately, so.
Are we
So-
signing this tonight?
I do have it available to sign, but Anna, if you need me to, I can drop it off. have
And I was curious,
somebody
last
drop it
time I
off
think Scott
tomorrow or-
voted in, so,
Yeah.
now since we did not have him in the vote, does he sign this or not sign this?
I'll check with, if the last meeting, if we already voted, I'll have Scott sign it. If we
Okay.
didn't, then he doesn't need to.
Yeah, yeah, I think,
Great.
I think we did, and
But just
so
in
then we would
case.
have him, have him sign it when he comes back.
Is
So-
there a statutory requirement, Jasmine, where it has to be signed like a certain date, so we have to file it by a certain time?
No, there actually
Okay.
isn't, which is wild, but it's also a strange thing that, just the chair can sign things.
Oh,
you know,
for
Oh,
Scott?
great.
No,
You don't need, you know.
go for it.
Okay.
For a modification, if it's if it was the beginning of a site plan, you would need all,
Is
at
that
least
what we
4.
did for the others as well?
If it's a site plan, you need 4, but if it's a modification, an extension, an A&R,
Yeah.
you only need the.
I would
chair.
have no problem Tricia being the only one to sign.
Do we have to make a note of that anywhere, or is it just good if I
It's
sign?
just good if you sign.
Alright.
It's on the registry, that's how it's.
Okay, if everyone's good with that, I'll just
I have no problem with that.
take care of it and we'll be done. Okay,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
You too.
Thank you.
All right, so that's taken care of. The next thing we have is the 501 Pond Street extension. And that is, was that this?
Yes, that is. Let me.
So I don't think we've had a chance to read this yet. So basically, there were two issues that we discussed on 501 Pond Street. One was the extension, and then the other one was a modification related to the gas for domestic hot water. This is only, those are two separate documents. This is only about the extension, which is the one they needed, really, more quickly. The other one, as a modification, Jasmine is working on, but we also want town council to take a look at that first and the verbiage. So I don't think we have that one ready tonight,
No,
right?
town council has
Right.
not reviewed that yet,
So,
or
so,
hasn't gotten back to me with their review.
right, so the extension obviously is just a little simpler. So we can take a minute to read that.
Oh, Anna, I'm so sorry. She's not.
And I'm so sorry, it's the memo on 501 Pond that you're all reviewing?
I'm so sorry, Anna. I
Yes.
don't think, that did not go out in meeting materials. Let me put this on the screen.
So I should
for you.
probably step out only because, well,
Oh, that's right.
I think the best way for me, I don't think I need to actually leave the room, but I
Yeah.
can just
Yeah.
not
because-
participate, right?
Right, that's
Do you
correct.
need me to leave the room, Jasmine? I think
You do
usually
not.
I do that when there's an applicant, but in this context, I can just be present but not participate, right?
Exactly, just no, don't
Okay.
deliberate.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember, so we approved this project December 8th, 2022. What is the April 24th, 2025 date?
That was their first amendment, so there's already been an amendment to the decision, and that was when that was made.
Oh, that was the, all right, that was
Yeah,
the
so this will be
amendment.
their second amendment. So the original decision was December 8th, 2022, and then it was amended in April 24th, 2025. So this will be the second amendment.
Right, but this isn't the,
It was also extended, so that amendment also was an extension as well.
no. We must have extended in around December in 2024. Because the amendment, otherwise it would have expired, because we get, right, it was 2022.
If you
And
granted an extension in 25 until 26, it wouldn't have expired.
We didn't, that,
Oh, I see
I
what
don't
you're
think that
saying.
2025 was an extension. That was about change of ownership and the deep affordability.
Okay.
So this would have been, we approved it on 2022,
So maybe I just take that second, but then we need to
And
find
it
out
was
when
good-
else we extended it from.
right, and it was good for 2 years, right?
Yeah,
So,
but now I see what you're saying. Let me see if there's a previous extension in here.
so somewhere on there that it was expiring, I think. It must have been
Oh,
expiring. in-
November 26th of 2024. I'm so sorry.
Where that was expiring?
Where it was there's a signed vote here to
Okay,
extend. I'm
okay.
sorry, I will amend
So there's
that,
an
November
extension,
26th,
right,
2024.
okay. So the extension was from, so we approved it in December 2022. It had a 2-year time period on it.
Yes,
And then before it expired in 2024, we gave them a 2-year extension with 6-month check-ins.
yes.
But the amendment doesn't even have to be a part of that.
No, the amendment and the extension are two separate
Okay.
documents. Yes, so November 26th, 2024, the planning board's approval of site plan and special permit extension.
Okay, so then would be extending one more year to 2027. That's what they had asked for, because the December 2026 date was just too close to the fall of 2025 or the fall of 2025 when they,
Need to have all of their
right, when they would,
submissions in.
right. Okay, so we're giving them another year from 2026 to 2027. So it all sounds familiar.
So we're gonna have this amended.
I'll reprint it right now.
For some reason, your logo is got,
Yeah, I don't know,
Oh,
the logo's getting chopped off.
and I'm not sure, on the other paper, I saw Trisha Kendall chair, and this one has Patricia Kendall, so I'm not sure if you're using
I usually have it as Trisha, actually.
do you?
I think so, yeah.
the other paper had Trisha, this one.
Yeah. Mine has, what is yours?
Oh, Deepa, is your mic on? On the very top, underneath.
No, yeah.
Oh, at the top,
Yeah,
Verizon
at the
one
top,
has-
okay.
The
Trisha.
Verizon one had Trisha.
Yeah, at the top. You're talking right up here, right, yeah. I think this thing is like, the header's too small, the header
yeah,
space.
I'll just reprint
Not
it.
that it's a big deal, but. Okay, so,
Okay, so that's reprinted with those two amendments. It says Trisha, it's updated to November 6, 2024, and the header is still chopped off, but.
and the verbiage changed. The
Yep.
verbiage changed too, right? Because we don't need to.
Yes.
Okay, okay. All right, so we'll take a look at that when it gets in. Like I said, the modification, we're gonna wait. And then the Caroline Estates preliminary subdivision review.
Do you have to close this out?
501 Pond? You voted on that last.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was just to review the,
The
yeah, to review,
decision.
yeah, review the decision to be made, so that we could look at the.
Anna kind of went away because he started talking about it. So I don't know if
Yes.
you need to, there she is.
I'm back. If you guys are finished with
I
that.
think
Yes,
we're
thank
finished
you.
with it, we just need to print
Okay.
it and, and we can sign that afterwards.
Yep,
Anna
it's
doesn't need,
reprinted.
Anna can't sign it, so that works out well. Okay, so then the next thing on there is, and we don't need to, it's not a public hearing, so there's nothing to close on that
Right.
one. Okay. So the last thing is the Caroline Estates preliminary subdivision. Do we have that?
I'm sorry, I do not
memo?
have that memo for the board to review, but if I could email it and you guys respond to just me, don't respond to all to avoid open meeting law violation. Because it's not anything that's signed by the board, it's just a memo that goes out from the department, from the director stating what happened. So if I can just send it out to each of you and you give me your feedback, I would appreciate it, and we are waiting to get the fees back before we issue anything. There was an issue with their fees, so.
This one is for,
This is the Carolina Estates that we didn't.
is he for that here?
Oh,
It was heard at the last hearing and it was denied. At November 6th. And, I'm sorry, you are? Who would have been my contact there? I mean, there's nothing, I mean, you can't do anything about it tonight, you can't hear it again. But also, the fees have not been received. We received them and they were bounced back. So even if. So the checks bounced? The checks bounced, and we were told that we would get new checks this morning that we didn't receive.
Yeah, no, I wasn't even notified that we had already here.
Yeah, whoever, I'll ask my assistant planner who we spoke to this morning and yesterday, but they.
For the owner?
I would have,
Checks, the owner?
I would have to check who the contact is to see, but they were aware, and they were aware that the fees weren't processed either.
Yeah, I can call them tomorrow and say, you get paid.
Right,
It's obvious.
right.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to double check who,
Yeah, if the
Um,
applicant was,
yeah, who is,
If he bounced the check, he knew he had to pay it,
right,
obviously.
right.
yeah, who was in contact, because we did,
The
This-
owner's name is, Singh Brothers, S-I-N-G.
yes, because this was on the agenda for last time, and we did discuss and vote on it. We,
Whether you notify.
I know that Jasmine has been in touch with them about several different issues on it, so we weren't completely surprised that no one was here.
Right.
We figured it was kind of being pulled, I guess. And so we continued on with the public hearing. So, I don't know if,
But the discussion that was held was that the driveways weren't sufficient for the fire department and a wetlands delineation is being recommended in order to determine the accurate uplands of the sites. So that was the determination. So they recommended if you were to return with another preliminary to come back with an ANRAD completed, so we can see the actual definitive
What I was
uplands.
gonna say, but I can't say, was that, you know, we would submit a full compliance subdivision, cul-de-sac, you know, driveways, walkways, curb, and all that stuff.
Right,
What we wanted to demonstrate, too bad I didn't make that, because I didn't get it, is that to be less intrusive on the people that live there now.
right,
The existing street has no sidewalks, no curb, no nothing,
right.
and it's a dead end. So emergency vehicles, you know, police and ambulance, they can turn around people's driveways, that's not a problem. But you have some long fire trucks in town. If they get anything down the end of that road, they have to back up all the way back to the other end of the road. That's over 900 feet long.
Exactly.
We're gonna propose to put T-turnarounds in those cul-de-sacs so that fire apparatus could turn around.
yeah, so I think at this point, I mean, you can, and working, so you're the engineer on the
Yes.
project,
Right.
right? So obviously, working with the owner,
Been in touch with the owner.
you know,
yeah.
can submit another preliminary subdivision, you know, to go through the
Based on the
process.
feedback, so I'll send
Based
a
on the
memo.
feedback, right, both from us and from Concom, which is also gonna be important.
Right.
Because there was that second issue there. And so to submit a second preliminary subdivision that's more in line with the concerns that were addressed at the meeting. So, but it's a little strange that they weren't no one was in contact with you or,
Honestly, I had no idea. I mean,
yeah,
I'm so sorry.
I
so,
know that we delivered the plans, we delivered the checks from the owner.
Right,
It's a surprise to me they bounced.
yeah.
yeah.
We don't.
I'm sorry, I thought you were with the last group. I assume
I
you
know,
were
I
part
thought
of
you
the.
were as well, I'm so sorry.
No,
I
I
wouldn't
had
have-
nothing
so-
tonight, I didn't feel like watching the page.
Oh, jeez.
I'm sure you didn't miss anything.
I don't know. Anything online can tell us what's going on. So, I mean, that was the purpose for the preliminary, was to feeling, I've never done one in this town. So I didn't know what your feelings were with waivers. I mean, when we come to the definitive, of course, we're gonna submit a full compliance subdivision.
Yeah, well, we don't,
I just wanna see what you people felt.
If you're gonna have the conversation, either we get
Yeah.
to the
We really
podium.
shouldn't though, because it's
Yeah.
not on the agenda.
Yeah, so,
That's what I was gonna do at the
right,
meeting, was just to
Right.
feel you out and see, you know, what your thoughts are on what different waivers and stuff.
yeah, so, like I said, we can't do any of that now. But, so the course is, and I, given the discussion we had, I think it would have been our course anyway, that the preliminary subdivision has to have more of those issues addressed. And like I said, not just with the driveways, but with Concom. So there's another whole issue here that needs to be addressed. Right,
Yeah.
right, so,
One of the comments was that you wanted us to file an ARAD with them first.
Yes,
yeah, so why don't you and the owner can work with Jasmine about,
Yeah.
and that information will be in the decision, so that you can take that as feedback and then do another preliminary subdivision when you have that.
We'll file an ARAD tomorrow, you know. You open on Friday?
not to the public, no. Yeah,
So we'll file one on Monday.
okay,
It's not a problem.
okay.
That's not a problem. So we'll
Okay.
file that, and I will call the owner about the checks. That's,
We
Yep.
will have to make sure that they clear before we put them on another agenda for Concom as well, so.
Yeah.
I will do the same.
Yeah.
Believe me, I
Sorry.
understand.
Yeah, Yeah, so please coordinate with Jasmine, and we'll
And
likely
Melissa,
see you sometime in,
December 11th is our next meeting, and then after that is January 8th. December 11th is, we have YMCA.
Okay.
I mean, that's, I'm not worried about it. I mean, I rather, the Concom girl very good, so
Becca's
we'll get her out
fantastic.
there.
okay,
Yeah,
Because I bought Mrs., she's the town of Westwood age.
Oh,
They
okay.
get along good. Her
Good.
name's Karen, so, I don't
Good.
have any issue with it.
perfect. That would
Okay.
be great. Well, I'm sorry we had you sit all night.
That's okay, like I said, I get nothing. I have no life.
thank
I
you
don't
for your
think we do
time.
any of us, we're all
Appreciate
here,
you
I mean.
talking to me anyway. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, we'll put you in a
I will
strange position, so,
call you on first.
Okay.
Gary called me today, he says, I can't go tonight. I said, why not? Okay.
I wonder if that has
So
anything to
If he
do
knows
with
the
it.
bounce, the check's bounced, then that's probably why
Okay.
he won't come.
It may be, I don't know.
That people bounce checks on me, it's not.
all right,
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you.
you as
Thank
well,
you.
thank you so much.
All right, sorry, folks at home, that was a little impromptu discussion about a discussion, something that we did last week, so.
I can run and grab those from the printer if
Anyway,
you'd
so,
like.
yeah, so you are grabbing basically just, cell tower and
And the front sheet of this
the
501 pond.
501 pond.
Yeah. And then I think all we have left is if you wanted to go through
Oh, right, thank
reports,
you.
and
See,
then
I would have forgotten that.
also the YMCA if we're going to discuss or continue.
Yeah, and I'm not sure we'll have the energy for that, but why don't we first just, are there any reports here? CPC, Scott's not here, Metro West, it was last time, right? So there's probably nothing there. Comprehensive plan is just on for town meeting, so mark your calendars for town meeting next week. Vote through comprehensive plan. And I don't think there's really, housing production plan, I think people have been getting maybe emails about that,
Goldstone is working.
Thank you, Goldstein, Jen Goldstein, will be reaching out to people, for potential small interviews about the housing, about housing in Ashland related to the housing production plan. So, so you may get an email or a phone call about that. Otherwise, we're meeting, on December 11th, and that's the only other thing on our agenda. Does anyone have any announcements, and then we'll discuss, or anything else they need to report, and then we'll discuss if we want to do YMCA?
No.
Okay, no other announcements. It is 9:14. Do we want to do anything on YMCA, or do we want to push that out? Or do we want to spend 15 minutes and say it's 15 minutes and then we go? Any feedback?
Or do you want to see at least how we were going to break it down, and then you can decide to see how much time you think?
You know, I was debating on this. It's like, let's see what they come back on the traffic reports and this one before we start to draft this, because if you're drafting this, we are saying that we are good to go. And I don't know if we are good to go at this point. So I don't know if we are sending a wrong message at this point by taking the next step ahead of time. So that, it just crossed my mind, but I don't know how
Can it be
others.
conditional? We could still write a
I mean,
conditional, right?
yeah, this is draft,
It's a
but,
draft.
Does it make sense to do a framework design of decision?
Well, let's
Since
def-
Scott's not around, he can be here for.
why don't we do this?
We could at least go through the criteria that we'd be reviewing for a decision, maybe? Like, this is the criteria that you would be basing the conditions on?
Yeah, let's go through, the special permit only has 6 criteria. Let's just go through those, because there may be some blank things in there that we need to fill in and we need more information on.
Right.
All right, I think the first,
I'm on site plan, sorry.
so that would be 9.3.2 is the criteria for special permit. So, 1, community needs served by the proposal. I think we're That- Like, yeah. I don't think there's any question that lots of community needs would be served by the proposal with the facilities and community gathering and place for teams to gather, members of our senior community, early education center, all things that are going to be, that people in Ashland have been wanting. So I think you're good to fill that one in.
Right.
Okay, so we're good with that one. Number 2 is traffic flow and safety. Don't have that data yet, right? The parking and loading, I think we had talked about, that seems sufficient, but we maybe haven't finished that discussion. But we certainly have to wait on the traffic, so that will wait. And as far as parking, maybe we should just talk a little bit with them about, how many parking spaces are there, how many are required, like some basic information. It's probably right on the sheet, but we should make sure that's really clear as we look at that point. Adequacy of utilities and other public services. Do we have anything from DPW about water, about, that usually we're
They
getting?
haven't expressed any concerns with this site. Everything on that road is relatively new. They do have concerns with the site across the street, but they have no concerns with this one as far as sheeting, or access to.
Snow storage,
Snow storage isn't part of utilities, though. That's more stormwater.
but DPW reviews them, right?
No, they would get their own plowing services to do snow removal. We don't do snow removal for any businesses or private properties. We only do roads.
Can we just reach out to DPW, and this is what I mean, like taking care of the new loose ends? Can you ask DPW to send an email about anything regarding that? You can quote that item from their perspective, any concerns they have for utilities and public services. I think sometimes public services, we also include police and fire services, but they've already been involved with
They've
this.
reviewed this and given their,
And sometimes the police it's more about, hey, there's so many units,
Right.
like housing units versus something like this.
right.
So, and they have already been involved in
Yeah.
that part of things. Okay, so number 4 is neighborhood character and social structures.
And do we have to check off all the boxes? We don't have to, right?
We have to have a response to all of the.
The 6 criteria, but
yeah.
it doesn't have to check all the boxes for the project, though.
If not, you should have an extremely good reason why not.
Okay.
That this requirement wasn't met because X, Y, Z.
Yeah, so I think Paul, what you're referring to is that there's not really a neighborhood character there in a way, right? Like,
It's a commercial building.
It's a commercial building with a very different design element.
they
So
don't,
you think about how and you're not really looking about how it physically looks, and it's more about elementally, what does it tie the neighborhood together? Like, is there adequate access from Dunkin' Donuts to the site? Is there adequate access through Trolley Brook Trail through the back of the site? How does it fit in
Yeah, I
the
think-
neighborhood is that question.
yeah, I think that's actually a good point, because one of the things is about, does the building fit? But we have been pushing hard about connecting it in, and I think that does have a lot to do with the social structures. So we could both, in that point, both talk about that there's no architectural language or fabric to tie into there. Like you said, it's a commercial building. But the importance to the board of the connections about getting there, or
And how the
accessibility.
backfield plays into other things that
Right.
you have
Right.
going on. So it's really more, does it contribute and does it flow well? you know, how you think, like, does it not? I mean,
The
it's,
property's pretty well isolated from the main part of town because it is Memorial Drive and it's hidden up, so it's, from a visual point of view, it's quite separated.
it is,
So obviously the emotional side of it, is it connected visually?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say how the architecture of the building fits or doesn't. I'm perfectly fine with it. It's, you know, but it's away from.
But you could say,
main
you could also
roads.
lean on the social structures part of it, and be like, it's going to enhance community engagement, provide
It's a great
social
building, it's a great
spaces,
site.
True.
you know. And I can also pull up other previous decisions that you've written for examples on these conditions.
I think
You know,
we're,
I don't think we had too many commercial buildings in town.
No?
A lot of them have been residential, so I doubt you're gonna find something from history.
and this one was a little tricky too, because
Probably 501 Pond might
because-
be the only one.
well, and that was just on the bottom. But but the other thing we talked about here was that, that in this design in particular, as opposed to other projects that we've talked about, that they're fully saying that, you know, the design may change, because we're entirely dependent on donations. And we started to have that discussion about, well, how do we mediate that a little bit? You know, how do we, in that process? And we haven't gotten to that conclusion yet, but that might tie into this as well.
I guess to Jasmine's point of connecting to that Dunkin' Donuts and the other side, the Charlie Brook Trail, I think that's a good particular essence of that
Yeah,
section. So
yeah,
we could leave it at that and not worry about,
at least at the present time.
yeah.
Right. Okay, so then, so the next one, again, this is just stuff to just start populating
Yeah.
it, right? It also doesn't bind us to anything.
Right.
Right,
Not until you sign it.
that's right. Number 5 is impacts on the natural environment. Anna, do you want to take that one? Because this is something you were talking about with the tree count. Impacts on the natural environment, how would we address that in special permit? Because it has a big effect on the natural environment.
So I think the way I would frame that is we do need to give the applicant some credit for the very thoughtful, some thoughtful design elements where they're working hard to make sure the site reflects the natural environment as far as allowing it to be honored in the design. I definitely believe the way the project is cited or structured on the site, and some of the ways that they're opening it up to the outside, whether it's through elements of windows, et cetera, and just the general feel of it, you know, with the fields and the ability for people to picnic outside and things like that. I think we need to honor that that's happening. And then at the same time, we also need to simply very openly be clear that there is a balance, if you will, of both opening up the site, making it more open to the public, using it for a positive community use, and at the same time recognizing that this is currently a natural undeveloped site and that, you know, X amount of trees are removed. However, the applicant is replacing certain trees and kind of include that as well. But I view that section as having both the element of recognition and honoring the efforts of the applicant, but then also being very factual about the fact that it's a green, undeveloped, wild site that we are developing thoughtfully and with a sense of balance.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's good to have both of those things in, to note both of those things, that there are significant
Right.
changes to the site, but it's it's been done respectfully, and there's a ultimate benefit to the community.
Exactly. Jasmine, do you want me to send you a couple sentences on that just to kind of develop it in the decision?
That would be great, please. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I can do that.
Thank you.
Does that help, Tricia?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay, and the last one of those 6 is the potential fiscal impact, including impact on town services, tax base, and employment. Now, this is, yeah, and it's very different, like as Deepa was saying, from the typical housing projects that we're typically looking at.
So these projects obviously have much less impact financially on public services, police, fire, DPW, things of that nature.
Is that in our purview? Number 6, tax impact?
Number 6,
Town services, yes, I can see that, but
yes, that's what it means by including impact on town services, so it doesn't heavily impact your police, fire, EMS. These uses tend to be much less impactful than any type of living facility or senior living facility or assisted living facility. Anytime you see homes and multifamily, that's always a much higher impact on those public services than any commercial building or use.
Yeah, it's basically looking that before issuing a special permit, that we have to believe that the project is a net gain for the town, like in all, basically, well, not in all ways, because we're clearing land and we're losing trees, you know. But
It's a higher tax base than some other uses. It provides potential employment opportunities for residents. But if you have questions about this, feel free to email me or email Tricia. Just don't email everybody so we're not violating open meeting law. Then we can give clarity on any of these specific topics about.
I think that there's definitely a lot of, I mean, I'm not sure how big of a fiscal impacts they are, but it seems like I know the Y out in Hopkinton, you know, hires a lot of teenagers, you know. So is that a big fiscal impact to Ashland? No, but it is a real benefit to people that live here, right? And to teenagers that are here or whatever. So it's a plus.
and we do collect taxes from them, even though they're.
As far as I'm
nonprofit?
aware, they're not tax exempt. I don't believe they are. Yeah, I'll double check, but I don't believe
Yeah,
they are.
can you double check that?
I
It would be
will.
good to know.
I thought they were tax exempt.
Maybe they are. Maybe I'm mistaken.
Because of the kind of facility, I'm curious about the infrastructure, because definitely there's a lot more water usage, and so I wonder how that is accounted for. When we talk about multifamily, you know that you have so many families, and then you have that sewage that Kate would always bring up, but I wonder how that is compared for a commercial project in town, because I don't know if we've had such a large commercial project in town before this. I mean, I guess all the grocery stores, yeah, but
Yeah,
I mean, we
certainly
could
nothing like
ask, they
this.
must have the data for the gallons per day that they anticipate. And per square footage, I'm sure we could figure out what the average gallons per day for a multifamily of the same size could be. So you could figure out, is this
and I
a
guess you have
similar
a lot of
stress
these
or less or
retail
more?
stores in town. That's your large box stores. I wonder if that's your apples to apples comparison versus multifamily.
Normally, commercial buildings also, the fixtures are much more water
Efficient,
efficient
Mm-hmm.
than residential,
yeah,
so it can balance out pretty quick.
yeah.
Generally,
don't know
these
what we
buildings are less
require.
use, but I can't say for fact this one is.
This
But
was not following any LEED certification.
they wouldn't, I don't think you could get a
That's
building
never
this
been
size to meet a LEED certification. You could? Yeah, they're definitely not going for that.
Yeah, then, so, yeah. I don't know if there were sustainable goals that we ever talked about for this project.
It's
Such a large
difficult.
That's
commercial
gonna drive up the
project.
cost significantly.
Yeah.
But it's such a large project, we should use that where you talk about low efficiency fixtures, but I'm just curious, how does infrastructure work for this project?
Infrastructure really only applies to what's going underground, so water, drainage, electric, those types of utilities. So we're really not looking at anything inside of the building when we're talking about utilities. So we're not looking at the types of water heaters they're using. We're not looking
but-
at the types of.
But I think what it does bring into fact that we did mention to them, and I don't think we have talked a little bit about sustainability, but we have a best practices list, a best practices for sustainability, and that does have on it about water usage and things. And so it would be good to hear from them about their take on that, not just the energy efficiency, which is all built into the building code at this point, but on the water use and things as well, which I don't,
That was
it's,
gonna be my question, like, as a green community, which we are, do we have minimum standards that people have to meet?
Not under the planning board, so if it's not in your regulation or a bylaw, you can't enforce it. You might
Yes.
have a list of standards, but you can ask nicely, but you cannot deny or
Right. I was
condition it
just
to meet
wondering
those
if anybody in
standards.
town,
Right.
if that's something, even if it's
Sustainability
not us,
committee.
someone else.
So we have, and this should be something that's in our, that we put in our
Yeah.
binders. We have what we call a best practices, sustainability best practices list. And this was something that was created by the planning board in collaboration with the design review committee and the sustainability committee. And this was several years ago, that we made this list that we give to basically all projects. We should make sure that they have it.
I don't think, I've never actually, this is the first I'm
Okay.
hearing about it, so I can tell you
All right.
firsthand, no project has
All right,
received
so
it since
I'll
I've been
have
here.
it,
and I
and
know
I'll-
that hasn't been in any of the previous
So
ones.
we wanted to make sure that town planner, when they're talking to new applicants, really shares this. Again, like you said, we can't enforce it because it's not law, but I think we are one of those communities where we are a little behind on all these green initiatives, and it's like, these are commercial projects, and there's no, it's different from multifamily projects, right? But this is commercial projects, we should use the opportunity. This has probably got a swimming pool in there. There's
it
like
does.
water usage there, there's absolutely possibility of using PV panels here for electric and not pass it on to the grid versus, but we've never talked to the why about this.
They did talk about solar panels. They talked about that they want to do it, but again, it'd probably be something that's after with the funding, right? That they'll,
And they had
come
also mentioned
afterwards.
that the credits.
The tax
they're-
credits are ending this year, so
Exactly.
that's part of that.
Yeah. That is part of the issue, yeah.
So let's definitely look at getting them that best practices list. In fact, we'll send it out to all the board.
That would be great.
It's probably slightly outdated because the new energy codes happened since we made it.
Actually, may need you to help me find it because it's not on the
Okay.
website.
I'm sure Peter had it there somewhere, but I know I have it and can send it out.
Oh, I'll ask Sam for it.
What?
I'll ask Samantha. She must have it. She's the sustainability
Yeah, but
liaison.
I'm not sure when we did it, if she was there, but yeah, ask her, but if not, I know I have it.
You think so?
Yeah, it's been a while. So,
There's
okay,
prob-
so those 6 then are that's the special permit list. So now it's 9:33. The site plan review list is 12 items long. But in a way, they're a little simpler. We do not have to address those today. But for instance, a lot of the information, and it might be something that we can kind of take a crack at, Jasmine and I, based on things that were already said. Because, for instance, minimize use of wetlands, steep slopes, floodplains, and hilltops. That's criteria number 1, and it kind of goes back to what we've already talked about, yes, we know we're changing this natural site, but, kind of thing. Number 2, minimize obstruction of scenic views. There's woods there, but I wouldn't call it a scenic view. Okay. Like I said, we'll record a few of these things here. Preserve unique natural or historical features. I don't know what those stairs are about at the Y.
No one can tell me.
There's
I've
this-
asked everybody.
Tricia, can I make just kind of one comment? I think
Yeah,
that the
please.
concept of scenic is a bit subjective in theory. I don't think we have a clear definition. I think the way to think about it is it's a wild site right now, right? It's an undeveloped wild site. I do think we should just refer to it that way and make it very clear that the applicant is honoring the outdoor nature of it and attempting to create a sustainable, thoughtful project
Yep, that's
that
fine.
reflects the great outdoors. But I would say, something super wild can be considered scenic. and the applicant is doing its best to honor that, something like that.
Yeah, that's fine. I think, like you said, it's kind of the definition, when we've come across this before, the definition of scenic, is it, yeah, you know, how do you define that? Just, you know, general natural environment, or is there actually something pointed that, that creates a scene, you know, say? But yeah, I think that's fine.
I mean, in the outdoor amphitheaters and things like that could be, but I wonder if, Anna, what you're talking about really goes into the open
Yeah.
part of the open space part of the project versus the scenic view category.
Scenic.
Well, it could also go under number 4, minimize tree vegetation and soil removal and grade changes, right? So it kind of touches in 2, 4, 5.
Yeah, like all of these are, you know, it's kind of that, you know, has it been minimized? Yeah, it probably has been. But are we moving around a lot of soil anyway? Yeah, we are, you know, or they are. You know, so
I think a lot of this stuff, it's almost like they're doing it to the best of their ability. They're doing it
Exactly.
within reasonable, maybe say something like reasonable efforts were made to meet this requirement in light of the balance required for this project between development and retention of open space, something like that.
Design
Because
response to the topography of the site, I guess, so
Right.
it covers pretty much a lot of those points out there.
Yeah,
I mean, the reality is they are improving the views, because right now it's just a bundle of trees, and it is and it isn't appealing, depending on people's perspective. But they are doing a great job to really bring the environment, bring the ecosystem into play with the building, dependable.
yeah, and that's why that number 2 is a little odd, because it says minimize the obstruction of a scenic view. It's not that the woods are the scenic view itself.
Yeah.
It's you're supposed to minimize the obstruction of some scenic view. So it's it's a little odd. Number 6 is screened objectionable features from neighboring properties and roadways. Usually we consider those to be where the garbage is, where the generator is, you know, type of thing. And they've already talked about how they're leaving that group of trees there to try to.
I think you should consider requesting other type of screening, though, around the garbage. Usually towns will request some kind of.
We have that in our bylaw,
Okay.
in the bylaws already, but we should look at it more carefully.
To ensure that because
Yeah.
I didn't see it specified on the plans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would just hate to assume
You're saying around the garbage only?
around the garbage.
Yeah. You gotta wonder with plowing operations, they're gonna get, but it's garbage, so it's.
You really want it screened so that way, you know, and also it helps prevent rodents from getting in it and things like that.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's actually called out in our bylaws somewhere
Yeah.
about that, but we haven't actually looked at it
I
on
hadn't
their
seen
site.
that spec on there, so.
So, consideration shall be given to the impacts of the project on town services and infrastructure. We've kind of, that's,
Some of these double dip a
they
little,
do,
they kind of
double
overlap,
dip.
yeah.
Electric, telephone, cable, television, gas, water, sewage, drainage, and other such utilities be underground except in cases of extreme physical and environmental constraints. That would be a good thing to ask.
Right.
It's on the list. I don't think we've ever, I assumed it's all underground,
They
but.
have, it looked that way, but I'll make sure we confirm that it certainly is.
Well, these are things when we talk to them that we can, you know, go over to, or they can be given this list.
Right.
Number 9, exposed areas, machinery, service areas, truck loading areas, utility buildings, and structures and other unsightly uses shall be set back or screened to protect the neighbors and those using the public ways from objectionable features. Such areas shall not impede the flow of traffic on public ways. I don't think any of those items exist in the
No,
project.
are there rooftop units on the top of the building that are screened? You wouldn't see it anyway, it's so tall, right?
I don't think we've got into that level of detail in any of their views and
think so
things like
either.
that,
I
so.
remember seeing any call-outs on the drawings. for
I don't
mechanical.
either.
Yes, that's another question related to these, okay. 10, when applicable, the site plan shall show measures to reduce and abate noise generated from the site that will impact surrounding properties.
Is this during construction or during normal operation?
normal operation.
That's gonna come back to your rooftop screens.
Yeah,
That's the biggest one.
the noise generator.
I'm sorry, the noise generator is typically the,
Like, however they're servicing that building, their mechanical system. So if it's on the roof, that's actually a pretty substantial noise generator that may actually require the screening if it's not already there.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so noise could be from. All right, and then number 11, the site plan shall comply with all zoning requirements for parking, loading, signage, dimensions, and environmental performance standards, and all other provisions of this bylaw. That's usually GCG that is looking at those things for us, except perhaps, well, they even look at signage, actually. They look at everything.
We haven't seen anything on signage, have we?
I don't know.
No,
Because this
we
very
have no
specifically
details
talks
on
about signage, dimensions, and environmental performance. We've never, we
But I
haven't.
don't know that there is, other than stop signs coming out of the site, would there be any signage?
Is,
Yeah, they're not proposing
is
a
this
sign.
building signage and wayfinding in the property, or is it?
They
I'm
haven't-
guessing this is a lot more than stop signs. It's probably also
Oh, yeah, building signs,
wayfinding going
wayfinding,
into
absolutely,
the other.
yeah.
Yeah, so we haven't seen that level of drawings or elevations that talk about that.
All right, so really we have a good list of things to get into more detail with them about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's something to share with them ahead of time before we start to drill them in person, so I think
Yeah, so maybe,
giving them a heads up, that's what we're gonna
Absolutely.
draft.
maybe we can share these two lists with them
Ahead of
about
time.
the things that the things that we've been talking about and that they should,
Be prepared to address on the 11th.
yeah, that, you know,
Absolutely.
that these are kind of questions we're going to ask, and to get into more detail, we can also send this sustainability checklist.
Which I did find on the website.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Okay,
I had
great.
to look, I was hidden. I think I have to reshare it, because I don't think you can find it easily.
Yeah, I think it does get a bit buried, but, and like I said, we probably have to update it. And then the last one is just having that, well, it actually makes more sense now, that the site plan shall be consistent with the objectives of the comprehensive
Now
plan.
we have one.
Now we, well, almost have one, right? So close, right?
Could this derail the agenda here by adding the comprehensive plan now?
No.
Derail what? Oh, no, I mean, I think
When
the,
applying the comprehensive plan to this project, given that it's not approved.
Would the comprehensive plan say that you wouldn't want this kind of project under any circumstances? I don't think so.
Do we have a point that we would pull out of the comprehensive plan and really connect this?
I think you can't, because it's not been approved before this was submitted. So
Yeah.
it would only apply if it was already approved before this application was submitted. So do you know what I mean? It's like the same, if a bylaw wasn't in effect, we couldn't approve a bylaw after they applied and then hold them to that
So
bylaw.
the grandfathered in.
They're grandfathered in.
well, in any case, I bet there's multiple points that we could pull out of the comprehensive plan.
That they probably do meet, but I wouldn't use, you can't use the new draft. You have to use what's existing and approved. You can't use the new one.
Oh, hold on. Are we talking about interconnectivity specifically for this project?
We were just wondering about this last point, number 12, which mentions that comprehensive plan, and Jasmine saying that since the YMCA application was already active and the comprehensive plan is not approved, we can't really, legal, I guess, is, say that it has to meet the comprehensive plan because this came first.
So I mean,
But-
we can't require it as a legal item, but they were very open to, the applicant was perfectly willing to work with us on certain comprehensive plan related items. So there is a cooperation that we should absolutely mention in our decision. Nobody's requiring them to do this. They were willing and open, for example, to have the bus stop And interconnectivity in general was in our prior comprehensive plan as well. So I don't think it would be a reach for us to refer to the comprehensive plan as long as these are points of collaboration with the applicant.
Yeah,
And we
and this-
frame it that way.
I think it could be, a statement about though the applicant is not required to meet elements of the new comprehensive plan, they do, that, I mean, I can't,
Yeah,
I can't, like I said, I can't imagine that there's anything in the comprehensive plan that says, no, we don't want a YMCA.
right.
Or implies said.
But if the comprehensive plan doesn't pass at town meeting and you reference this in a decision,
Well, we're gonna know that very quickly.
yeah.
And the
that's
decision will
true.
be much,
Yeah, that's
will be
true.
way after.
Next
Yeah,
Wednesday.
Yeah, so,
And to Alan's point, if interconnectivity already existed in the previous one,
You would just
Yeah.
have to,
we could
yeah,
just
you would just
use
reference
that,
the
right?
previous.
And there's
Yeah.
nothing too different
Right.
in terms of features that you'd have seen in the new comprehensive plan versus.
yeah, I'm sure it's.
I also don't think this is a controversial point with the applicant. They clearly want to create a community project
Right,
that reflects the diversity and needs of Ashland. They seem to be working really hard. And the beautiful thing is it happens to coincide and be consistent with the comprehensive plan. So I think it's a win-win for everyone. I don't see them objecting to kind of a general
Oh,
statement
no, I don't either.
that we're honoring their efforts in creating a community project that we're super excited is consistent with the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, we just have to make sure it passes first, I guess. Or
And,
reference the
and
old
to your
one.
point, Jasmine, I think if we add a condition that would add strain to them, to the project, that's when you would worry about legalities. We are not there yet.
Right, so obviously, like Tricia said, we'll know if it's approved, if the comprehensive plan is approved next Wednesday, we go forward with that, and if not, we just have to reference the previous one, not the one that didn't
Absolutely.
pass.
But definitely, I think worth sharing with them so that they don't get surprised
Oh,
when they
yes.
come December 11th and we ask questions on signage, for example.
yeah, or in the trash
yes, we'll certainly
enclosure.
get
or
They're going
things
to
like
be
that.
our RTUs and, because we've never gone to that level of details.
Yeah, so it can be this list of small things that now we want to address after going through our list, which I think they were aware of, because they were here when we talked that we would be going through this list, and
Yes,
so, so that'll be a great little list for them to kind of gather those things.
And I would not emphasize RTUs in your message to them because they would get down to the level that they haven't gone to that engineering level. So it is absolutely site plan related
Yeah.
noise in the site, so
right,
keep it very general and don't get into the details of
right,
highlighting the subtopics that we just.
that makes sense.
All right, so there is a site alteration special permit as well, but I'm not sure what the criteria are for that one, if they even, or that we need to, I think we talked so much already about the site that I don't think we need to deal with that right now.
Okay.
It's probably repetitive information.
It is very,
And it is 9:49, and we try to get out of here by 10, so. But we do need to continue this to somewhere. Do you know where, was this one when we were gonna send to December 11th?
December 11th was
Okay.
what we had told them last time.
But I didn't want to cut anyone off. Does anyone have anything else they want to add to kind of just the general discussion of the why right now? So, okay. But I thought that was actually good. I'm glad we did that to kind of start getting some of those issues on the table. All right, so then we are looking to continue this to December 11th, which is, yay, almost a month away, so we give it a break.
Question I have, pending the final decision, does that mean that they start going to site work, or is that still further down the road?
That's considering what they've expressed with their funding, that once we approve this decision is when they can apply for the remainder of their funding. So they haven't even granted all of their funding yet, so we're probably looking like 2 years before, a year to 2 years minimum before they start breaking ground,
Okay.
assuming it's an approved, no appeals.
Yeah, I thought they were hoping for a little earlier. I mean, earlier rather than later breaking ground, but, because I think they need to be at like 70% funding
Yeah.
before they can before they feel comfortable, you know, starting. So hopefully, I don't think they're looking at 2 years. I think they're looking at
I'm hoping
earlier.
it will be
Yeah.
within the year, but I can't, with the funding,
Yeah, no one knows,
you know,
right?
it could be up
Yeah,
in,
Yeah, so, okay. So, I will make a motion that we, continue 30 Memorial Drive YMCA special permit and site plan review to our meeting in December 11th. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, and a roll call vote.
Deepa Venkatai.
Paul Montesino,
Anna
aye.
Anna Tesmanitsky, aye.
And Tricia Kendall, aye. So that is continued. And I think then
I think that was everything.
we've taken care of everything, except that we need to sign a few things here in the room.
Yes.
Oh, you were about to say something?
I know, I wonder why Angel,
Oh,
Yeah, and it's
Ja-
only,
Jasmine, is there anything in the room I need to sign? I don't think there is.
no, Anna, there's not.
Okay.
nope, you're off the hook, I think. So in that case, I will adjourn the meeting at 9:52. Is there a second? We have to officially close our meeting and a roll call vote.
Deepa Venkatai.
Anna,
Anna Tesmanitsky, aye.
I keep cutting you
We
off,
got
so I'm
this.
giving you that. Paul
We got
Montesino,
this.
aye.
And Tricia Kendall, aye. See, that's why we sit in a nice row and we can look at each other when we do our,
That's why I looked at it.
And Angel, I apologize for not being there to officially greet you on your first meeting. But welcome, you did a great job.
Thank you, Anna, for sharing tonight. That was helpful.
all right,
No worries.
great.
Thank you.
We only hazed some of you.
Yeah, some, yeah.
Were you guys hazing her?